game, the end product of what the game is, what it looks like, and how it plays, just to kind of give you an idea, and you can have this image of the game, what you're building in mind, as we're diving into the CMS. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to launch this game here. Perfect. All right, and so we'll cover all of this graphics, the names, different things like this. These are things that you can customize, this music. I'm going to click start. I'm just going to walk through real quick. There's a brief tutorial at the beginning of this one. Let me go right through. Okay, so the game mechanic that's being used here, it's an endless jumper game. So the goal of this game is to get your character as high as you possibly can. There's little rockets along the way that'll boost you up, but there's also, you'll notice, question blocks. When your character goes over the question block, it triggers a question. These are the questions that you can add to this game. And when your user answers this question correctly, let's see, how can you build a good credit history? Check forms of credit. Let's see if this is the right one. So I got it incorrect. But if I was to get it correct, I would actually get a boost in my score, and it would boost me higher. And that's the basic idea. The higher you go, the higher your score. So the more questions that you answer correctly, the higher your character is going to go, and the higher your score will be. So based on that mechanic displayed, we recommend using the jump game for traditional knowledge reinforcement. And this could be implemented as a quiz or assessment following a training or a compliance session, and a lecture for users to complete and come back to as many times as desired to increase their score. And that's the key right there. Keeping your users engaged with the content, bringing it all back to the content and really nailing it down to firm up the knowledge in their mind. So now that we've seen the end jump game, let's go ahead and let's build one of our own. So I'm gonna actually go over to the game builder here, make this full screen. There we go. Okay, so over in the left panel, I'm gonna go ahead and click on new game. And since we're building a jump game, super straightforward. We're just gonna click on jump, and it's gonna immediately launch me into the new game portal here. So I'm gonna go pretty quickly over a lot of the stuff. This is the default settings for the game. For any one of the training arcade games, this is the first screen that you'll interact with, and you'll apply default settings to save out and actually create the games. So the game name, I'm just gonna call this the webinar jump game. And you can see that this name is actually gonna be automatically populated in the URL field below. This is your unique URL for the game. This is where your users will access to play the game. The Training Arcade supports up to 14 languages by default. So it's pretty awesome, pretty malleable right out of the box. We have basic game settings right here. You can set a default timer for all of your questions. I'm gonna go ahead and set 30. This is to make it easy so you don't have to set a timer for each question, although you can do that later on and I will show you. You can set a time limit on the total game if you want, in terms of seconds. If you want it to end at a certain time that's unique to jump, you'll have the ability to do that. You can set a percentage required to pass. I'm gonna go ahead and put 85%, and I'll show you. This is so this game can interact with your LMS. If you have required a specific score that you'd like your users to achieve, we can pass back that percentage for completing the course back over to your LMS so they can pass it. You can give the option for your users to have bragging rights, tweet their score out after they've won the game or they've completed the course. You have the option to randomize all your questions, show a tutorial, get your users familiar with the game mechanic. And then if you'd like to provide some supplemental information or additional information about your course content, you can do so here via a Learn More URL that'll appear at the end of the game.
And Jack,
some areas, oh, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I just wanted to provide a little bit of color on the section that Jack just went through. Some of our clients use these games to engage their customers as well as their employees for training. And so, some of the social features like the ability to tweet, not applicable for internal training, but if you're at a trade show and you're providing some information about your product or your company to customers, that's where you might want to enable that. So it would be public-facing engagement, the content that you're creating that's more applicable for public-facing, and folks can then help spread the word, and in that tweet would have a link back to the game that you're playing. So that's obviously only usable if you're doing something external to your company. And the other component I wanted to talk about was the learn more button. So if you don't enter a URL there, there's nothing that happens at the end of the game. If you have material in your LMS or otherwise that you want that complements the game and you want to direct somebody back to that, if you put that URL in here, that learn more button will show up at the end of the game along with some other actions that the player can take, and it will link them directly to whatever you put in this field here. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
So some of the other areas I want to highlight here are areas that are customizable to you, so where you can really make this game your own and really get the flair. The first being that information will pop up. This is a little title and some text that you can add, for users as a splash screen before the game starts. So this jump game, for example, is really fun. You can see a little preview window right here. You might have some words of encouragement that you could add here too, like good luck or so on. I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top here. Training Arcade for the jump game, this supports 5 different themes right out of the box. Very colorful types of art and whatnot. I'm going to go ahead and pick the origami theme, and it also supports up to 4 different music tracks that you can pick. And you also have the option of choosing no track. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but we also allow the ability for users to customize this on their own. Yes, we do.
Yes,
so
we do. Yeah, if you want, so you can. We give you the features that you're able to customize within the builder here, and then we have a number of clients that wanted a custom skin overall, where the background is relevant to their company or their product or their branding, and in some cases they've created that artwork. In some cases they've engaged us to create that artwork, and then we add that to their account. So as they're building games, they can select their company branded skin in the theme type and create as many of those games as they'd like. It's a little bit of custom work on our side. We have to add the theme. You can't do it within the builder here, but it's incremental. It's not a lot of work. And it creates some great flexibility and great branding to tie to your needs.
Awesome, thank you. So then after we've selected our theme in the music, you can actually see, you can preview the track here if you want. You can see the theme pop up in the preview window right here. So if you wanted to click through and see some of these different themes, for example, you could click and see through, compare which one you like, which one you would like to use for your game. And then here's the splash screen. This is really cool. So you can actually upload your own company logo here if you'd like. So I'll go ahead, I'll upload a logo. Where's my pop-up? I need to exit full screen real quick. Let's do upload an image. Let's browse. And so then we will go with our TGA icon. And you can see, you can preview it right here. The icon will pop up right up at the top here. You can add, you can upload another image, or you can upload some text for the title of your game. Let's call it, so we'll call this, again, the Jump webinar game, and you can preview it right in this window right next. And you can actually, you can choose whether or not you'd like to use the default game art that we have here, or you can upload your own image. And for any specs or specific aspect ratios or resolution, things like that, at any time, there are these question marks right next to the title section. Just hover your mouse over those, and it'll actually show you the specifications needed for images and such. Then these last 2 sections, you also have the ability, if you'd like to lock down the game or only give the game access to certain groups, maybe within your organization, you can do so with the user registration here. We support authorized player lists, which you can upload to the Training Arcade directly. We also support single sign-on. And then you can also have your users register and select what information you'd like to collect from them. Obviously, the name and email just being the only ones required, but you can disable, enable, or hide which fields are particular to you. I'm going to select no for now, and then I also would like to show a leaderboard on the game over screen. no authorization. So I think that's it for the game settings. Joe, is there anything else you'd like to highlight on the game settings screens? Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. We saved successfully. And we're going to head over right into the questions tab. So now we're going to actually get into adding our content and building our game here. So we've officially created our game. At the top right, you'll notice 4 buttons. There's the add question buttons. As the name suggests, this is to add a new question to the game. There's the launch button, and this will actually launch our jump game that we just created in a new tab. The copy game button, which it will, what happens is when you click this button, it takes the game in its entirety, all of the settings, all of the content that you have saved so far, creates a new instance, an exact duplicate, so you can save and edit and play around with as a completely separate instance as desired. And then of course there's the save button. This is our favorite around here. We like to save very, very often. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and click on the add question button. And you can see there's a dark blue tab that will appear. There's question 1. And right away you can see underneath that there is the question type. You have 5 different question types that you can choose from. Multiple choice, multiple select, image match, text input, and poll. I'm going to go ahead and select multiple choice for my first question type. You'll also have the ability to upload an image, which we can do right here. I'll show you. Upload a test image. A video, you can add a video via URL or upload a video that's up to 20 megabytes in size, or an audio clip. And each of these will appear alongside the question or when that question is displayed. So when your character in game, if you remember, hits one of those question box, this image or the video or the audio clip will appear alongside the question to play. And so you can have a question refer back to the image or the video, or maybe there's a little jingle with the audio clip as well. So let's go ahead and add a question. I'm going to add something super maybe. What is the date today? And everybody knows what date today is, because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So today is going to be February 13th. We'll go ahead and add my answers right below here. And so I've gone ahead and I've checked click randomize answers. If you have this box unchecked, the answers will actually show exactly as they are on screen in that order. So they would show up as February 13th, January 13th. If I would like more than just the default 2 answers that there are, I can click this green button up to 2 more times. So you can have a max of 4 possible answers for multiple choice, which I've gone ahead and done right there. I'm going to put some silly answers in here of the above. And then be sure to mark which answer is the correct answer. And so if you don't have randomized answers, something that we have enabled that you to be able to do is you can shift these answers around just by clicking these arrows on the left side of the answer section. And you can move them around and organize them as you see fit, or you can click the randomize answers button, and whatever order you put them in here, the game will automatically randomize them for you once you get in there. And then the last section inside the question is the feedback response. So here is where you can provide some feedback, some encouraging words to your users. You know, great job. That is the correct date. Indeed, or, you know, nice try, better luck next time, for the incorrect. Next time. Perfect. And then we have our first question. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save that. Game updated successfully. And we're going to actually launch into this so you can see right away, in such a short period of time, we've added our first question, we've created our game, and it's ready to play. So you can see here's the title I added earlier, the logo. We have all of the art. This is the preview screen, that splash screen that we added earlier. I can add my name for the leaderboard. We're going through the tutorial, which we added. Perfect, and now we're playing the game. And because there's only one question, we'll see here, it's popped up. There, we can see the image appearing right in our question. Here's our question. The answers are randomized. I'm going to go ahead and select the date today. Perfect. We got it correct. we now can blast off, and you can see, as I get the answers correct, you'll be able to see my lives in the top left corner are increasing. My score is increasing as I'm blasting off to higher heights, making me want to go further, answer more questions, and soar above. I'm going to go ahead and just select the wrong one, for example. There's my feedback popping up. Nice try. Better luck next time. We're going to continue. So let's add a few more questions here and highlight some of the different question types that we have. For example, add question. Let's go ahead and select a poll type question. So the poll type question is unique. You have all of the same options as you did before with the multiple choice question. This is unique because you can actually show the poll results after the question has been answered. And so immediately your users can see how their peers are answered. You can see, you can get a feel, maybe a particular question for how the course is going for them. You can ask a targeted question and get immediate results. So I'm going to go ahead and ask, are we having fun yet? I want to show the poll results. My default timer's there, and then I'm going to put yes, and definitely yes, because I know we are all having a ton of fun right now. So I'm going to save that. And I've already added my second question. And then let's go ahead and add our third and final question. And I'll make this one a text input. Here we go. And I'm going to ask, what is my name? And so the difference with one of the differences with text input versus some of the other question types that we have here. Text input, you can allow up to 8 different variations, and this is to account for spelling or maybe synonymous words for the answer. So your user has the answer in mind, but maybe it's a typo that they entered. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to enter my name as it is, and you don't have to worry actually about case sensitivity, whether they enter a lowercase or uppercase letter. The Training Arcade, it doesn't matter so long as that they have the actual word that you're looking for or variation. So there we go. I'm going to add one more. These are actually all variations of my name that have been called at some point in my life. Add that feedback. Great job. Nice try, but not quite. Perfect. So now we have our questions. And something that's also I'd like to highlight real quick that's really cool, really unique about the Training Arcade is it's very organized. It's very contained. So it's easy to come back after a while and you can actually see at a high level where your questions are and what they were, in what order. So I can see what is the date today was question 1. I don't have to dive into this tab to really see. I can dive into the tab to get down to the finer grained details, but overall I can see what question is where in what position, how many questions I have, and it makes it really easy to see it all, review, and it's very, very intuitive. So I'm going to save once more just to make sure I have it, and we're going to go ahead and play through one more time just to show you guys, show you all the questions. It's going to bring me through the tutorial screen. I'll just skip right through this real quick for you. Okay, so now we're going to get up to the top here. We're going to try and see if we can get one of those question blocks, one of our new ones, so we can see it. There we go. What is the date today? Perfect. So this is our first question. We got it correct. We're going to move on to the next one. Are we having fun yet? Yes or definitely yes. I'm going to go select definitely yes because I'm definitely having fun. And this is where the poll results pop up right for your users. So they'll be able to see amongst their peers, whoever's taking this poll, what they said as well. And you will be able to see as well. So it's really cool. You can get that instant feedback. You can slip it in there for them. And then let's get our last question. What is my name? So here's the text input. And I'm going to enter my name, not quite right, but it's one of those variations that I've accounted for. Submit, and I still got it correct. Perfect. And we can blast off onto the next level. And so because I have such few questions in here, or just a couple questions really, it'll begin to recycle those questions. If you had more questions, obviously it'll address the questions that your users haven't answered first in order to make sure that they are answering new questions And then questions, the same goes for questions that they might not have gotten right. If they continue to get the questions incorrect, it'll serve those questions at the end after they've answered others correctly. It'll serve the incorrect questions back up to them. And that I think that is everything. It looks like we have about 5 minutes left, and I wanted to leave some time for any questions that I can answer, or Joe or myself can answer. I'm going to pull up the chat here.
And I can, Jack, as we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions. If you look at the top of Jack's panel there's the game info, there's the questions tab, which he's on right now, and there's a translations tab and a publishing tab. So if for any of our clients that have audiences where they're needing to go into multiple languages, we have our games break out into two buckets. We have all of the content that's inside our game that we control, like the next button, the leaderboard, our tutorial screens, the game over screens and buttons. All of that stuff that's in the game, we've already translated into all of our languages. And then all of the content that you're adding to the mix, your upfront splash screen, your questions and assessment material, your polls, all of that material is quite easy for you to then translate. So as you select an additional language, so Jack, if you drop down add translation and select Spanish, what happens here is you can manually go through and translate. On the left-hand side of the screen is everything that you've added in English. So the image that you've added for the company logo, the information pop-up screen just below that, it says the jump game is really fun. And then on the right-hand side is the field for you to enter your translation. And you can go through this and very quickly map your translations into the game and then save it, and you've got a multilingual training game. The other thing you can do is if you've got a number of, if either you have a lot of content or you have lots of languages you're translating into, you can download the translation template up at the top, the green button there. If you click on that, it will download a CSV Excel spreadsheet for you, and it has everything formatted for your translator to add in all of the different content, all the different languages that they might have. Jack's pulling up the format here. And then once that's all filled in whatever languages you're adding, you come back here and you can upload it right back into the system, and all of those languages are in. So there's the upload template button right there that Jack just pressed. So it gives great flexibility, quite easy to add translation support. The other thing is the publish tab up top. So we've worked hard to make sure that these games really will work well in whatever format, whatever setting you have. So a lot of people use, we have a range of games. We have games that are really well suited for teaching and educating your audience on content and assessing their understanding of it. So we have a branching scenarios game. We have a Jeopardy game, which is the only officially licensed Jeopardy game in the training space. So we're really proud of that. But we have a range of games that serve a range of different training and assessment needs. But specifically here for Jump, Jump is a way to take assessment and knowledge check and just make it more engaging, make it more fun, give it a really good veneer. So in terms of publishing it, you can provide the link if you're in the middle of conducting a meeting with 10, 15, 20 people. You can just provide that link to everybody. They can access it, and our games are optimized across every device. So if they're on Android or Apple phones, they'll work great there. They'll work great on different browsers. They'll work great on tablets and desktop. So you can provide that link to somebody that can access it on their own devices. The gameplay will be great. You can download at the bottom of the page. There you see the SCORM packages. Those two red buttons, and you can click on either one of those, and what it will do is download a zip file right to your computer. You can load that in directly into your LMS, and it contains all of the instructions for opening an iframe and having our game play within your LMS, passing data back and forth. It's all handled out of the box. So you can publish this standalone game as a course in your LMS in a couple of clicks.